All right, and we're back for part two. I'm going to add a little Actionscript functionality to this button so that we can go visit a website. There's a very simple use of it. Now, the technique I showed you was using the snippets. Now again, if you're following my mouse, I'll move it around a little bit. They're right here. Code snippets are pre-written bits of ActionScript to handle common things you might want to do without you having to learn every bit of syntax and vocabulary in this language to make it all happen. So there's one really important little detail here, which is what you have selected when you add the ActionScript. So, like if I check my properties right now, I can see I have an instance of the button selected. It might seem intuitively to make sense that I should have the button selected if I want it to go somewhere and do something, but that's not actually true. So what I need to have selected is the frame on the timeline where this should be added. So I'm just picking frame 1, layer 1, and that's where I'm going to add it. Now back to snippets, and I'll take a look here inside of Actions, the very first one. I'm just expanding it here by clicking that. And you can see the first one in there is click to go to web page. So this is very easy. Now, these two little buttons that appear off to the side will show me a little description of what this thing is, which is nice if you're browsing and just sort of trying to figure out what things are. And if you know what it is you want to do, this one here, show code, is the next logical step. So that's what I'm going to click. So there is a little description up on the top of it. And then as you scroll down, you can see the code that would make it work. Now this is kind of funny, but I actually forgot to do something. And I'm going to leave my mistake right in here so I can help you remember to do it too. So let me back out of here for a sec. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to give the instance of the button a name. So after all that, here I go, selecting the button instance, and up here on properties at the very upper right of the screen, there's a nice little place for me to add an instance name. Now, I did this in class, and it seems goofy, I know, but it can be very helpful to give these things slightly unusual names just so you notice them and remember them. So I'm going to call this button instance Carl. So you can say hello to Carl the button. There he is. Now, having done that, if I go back to where I want to insert the snippet, that is frame 1, and I go back to snippets, and I go back to click to go to web page, and here's the code. Well, now, when I scroll down, you can see, if you look here closely, where my mouse is, that it recognized the name of that instance as the thing to attach this to, as the thing to use as a prompt for carrying out this event. Now that makes it so much easier. So then I'll just scroll down, take a little look at the rest of it here. The code right now, if I simply inserted it as it stands, would make the thing follow a link to adobe.com. Now, I don't want to go to adobe.com. According to this button, I want to go to Google. So I'm simply changing the address, the URL, to Google, right? So easily edited. One thing you can do is simply copy the address ahead of time if you like, and then select that spot and paste it in. And now I'm just going to click the Insert button here. They have a nice friendly little animation of inserting the code snippet. And if you look on the timeline, you can see there's now an Actions layer as well as layer 1 that was already there. And the Actions layer is where all the ActionScript will naturally accumulate. I'm going to close up my snippets. And the only way I can really interact with this button is by doing the preview of the file. So I'll hit my Control-Enter combination. Little preview pops up, does its usual thing, and if I click it, off I go to Google. And so that is how you use a button instance and attach a little ActionScript to make it do its thing. And I'll be back with a little more about some of the other things we talked about in a bit.